Hey guys, so in today's video I'm going to be teaching you what crosshair placement is and what good crosshair placement looks like, because crosshair placement is something that's talked about so much throughout the Valorant community. You guys have heard me say like, yo, get good crosshair placement. If you get good crosshair placement, your aim will quickly follow. It's like the most important part about aim. But if we don't explain what this is and kind of just show you in a little bit more depth, it's a little hard to maybe understand for especially some newer players, like what exactly is good crosshair placement. Hey guys, if you like my style of teaching and you want more, make sure to check out my Patreon in the link down below. You can find a couple of courses that I have that people really found effective. Both the mentality course as well as a competitive fundamentals course are two of my best sellers. Make sure to find those, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. And so I'm going to go ahead and be jumping into that. I'm going to be explaining that and hopefully giving you guys a better idea of how to actually tackle and improve crosshair placement. So first of all, crosshair placement does not necessarily mean placing your crosshair ahead. For the vast majority of guns, that is the case. With guns that can crit like this, for example. But for example, with something like the operator or a shotgun, you don't really need to be placing your crosshair super high. In fact, it's actually arguably bad to do that. But I'm not going to talk too much about that this game. I'm mainly going to be talking about crosshair placement for something like a Vandal, for something that's like a rifle. And so typically where you're going to want to be aiming is at the head. And now I don't know what kind of tip to give you to know that you're aiming at the head, but this right here is roughly headshot level. There is a small margin of error, so like you can aim it slightly up from here or slightly down. You're still going to be shooting them in the head, but this will also depend on how close you are to an enemy, right? Because if you're closer to an enemy, you see this orb. The farther away I get from it, the smaller it gets, the smaller it is on my crosshair. And this is actually a really important thing to understand. But you see, the closer I get, the smaller my crosshair will become on it, and the more room for error that I have. See this? I can move my mouse this much. But when I come all the way back here, I can only move my mouse this much. And that's a pretty big difference. Now, this is also not that long of a distance at all. So you can imagine if I'm looking at a head over here, you really have to be on top of their head. Whereas if you're fighting someone right here, then you have more room, right? That's why it's easier to shoot people at closer range. So that's how crosshair placement differs. Also, we're going to be talking about elevation, and we're going to be talking about specific spots that people can play. You can see right here, this is roughly crosshair placement as well. Crosshair head, I mean. And so basically you just need to be practicing, right? This is why I say like go into deathmatch. Like go into deathmatch, and every angle that you peek, ask yourself, are you aiming at headshot level, right? Like, are you aiming at headshot level here? Are you aiming at headshot level here? Are you here? Are you here? Like, are you here? Like, because there's so many angles, right? I'm going to show you guys an example of this. So right here, are you aiming at headshot level? Okay, maybe you are, but are you aiming at headshot level for here? No, you're not, right? Most people don't do this. You're not aiming your crosshair up here to where they would be. Because like the ideal way to clear this would be, walk up, clear this, and then come like this. This is gonna, you actually don't need to aim here anymore. Sorry about that. I'm still in the old ways. But you do need to clear this, because this is a place that I play a lot. This is a place that people will play. Raise can satchel from here. But, and then if you're here, where do you have good crosshair placement? You need to take the elevation into account. If there's no elevation, probably about here. But since there is, you need to aim down a little bit, right? And again, just go into your deathmatch. Your brain's going to pick up on like how high you need to aim for headshot level. It's not like I can just tell you, yeah, it's like 5 feet tall. Like, it just doesn't make sense in terms of Valorant. So try to like just practice is the most important thing. So outside of that, there are elevation differences, which is something we just saw over there in that spot, but not necessarily in just spots, because this is a very specific spot that you're not going to be playing up against a whole lot. This is an area that you're going to be pushing quite often, and so you need to know, like, not to be aiming right here, because this is going to be like at their shins. You need to be aiming up like this. Now this is something for better players. It's just automatic. Crosshair placement also means clearing your corners fully, right? So instead of going like this and clearing your corner, go like this and clear your corner, right? Make sure that you're fully placing your crosshair where you expect the enemy's head to be specifically, right? As opposed to just kind of half-ass clearing it and then like looking back instantly, right? Because a lot of people do clear like this. They go like this, or they go like this, and then there's like actually somebody there like this, and then you need to actually kill. You need your crosshair on them to shoot them. So you're probably just gonna get screwed because your crosshair is not on them. You're not really fully expecting them. It's the same thing with like any corner. If you're just kind of like this and you're like, oh, there's actually someone there, and then you're dead, right? So keep that in mind. But also keep in mind these elevation differences. And then just kind of being aware of all the spots that enemies can be is something that I stress pretty often here. So like, can they be on the rope? Can they be here? Can they be up here? So again, if they're going to be here, do we need to aim here or do we need to aim up here? Hi, teddy bear. And yeah, and so this is the same on defense, obviously, but depending on where you play, it's going to affect how your crosshair placement goes. But yeah, I'm going to show you guys in the next clip how to get better crosshair placement. Here is where I'm actually going to be showing you how to get better crosshair placement. Now, this is just going to give you a conceptual understanding. This is not necessarily going to consolidate having good crosshair placement into your brain. Like, that's where deathmatch comes into play, or just playing, having experience comes into play. This is not going to give you experience against actual people, so it's not going to be quite as effective, but this can still help because stuff like aim lab helps, right? Aim lab is not against people, but it's still extremely effective. But here we can really see, like, whenever you're close to a head, see this? Look how much I can move my crosshair, and then whenever I move really far away, like back to over here, see how small I can barely move my crosshair while still being able to shoot the bot and actually like hit it, right? So that's something I want you guys to realize, and we're not talking about elevation yet. We will talk about that here, but keep this in mind, right? How close you are to an enemy does matter. You're obviously not going to be this close to most enemies you kill. Sometimes you will be. Most of the time you're going to be around this range or farther, and so just getting comfortable with this, and you know, you can always just kind of shoot some bots, but this is really just kind of give you guys a conceptual understanding. I also want to show you how, so if I place my crosshair right in the middle of this bot's head, and then I step back, notice how, you know, I'm not moving my crosshair, right? I'm not touching my mouse. Notice how the crosshair moves, right? So notice how headshot level at this range is not the same at this range, and at this range, and at this range, and at this range, and at this range, right? So the farther you go back, the more that your crosshair, you need to move down, because the closer you are to someone, not only is their head bigger, but the taller they get in relation to you, right? The bigger they get, the kind of the tall, they're not getting taller really, but it's just the you know, the perspective. So that's what really matters here. And so obviously if you're crouching, you need to adjust for that. And obviously height differences are going to matter. So there's limited stuff we can do here in the range, but here obviously if I'm not, you know, I'm aiming at the feet. So if I don't adjust my crosshair, then like so here headshot level's right here, and if I don't adjust my crosshair, I'm going to be aiming way too high. And this is you know, this is extremely kind of obvious right now, but if you guys are newer to comp or you're just kind of lower rank, these are certainly things you probably aren't thinking about. These are things you're probably not thinking about. Just off of my raw coaching experience, I know that people neglect crosshair placement, they neglect clearing corners properly, and this stuff's really important. So make sure that you're always like from second, you know, this is not something that you just do whenever it comes into your mind. This is something you're supposed to be doing all the time. Like, you're not supposed to be like, oh yeah, I should have good crosshair placement now for this kill, and then go back to going like this and just, you know, like, you need to be practicing. That's what's gonna make this automatic, right? You're gonna make this an automatic process that you don't have to be thinking about. So let me know if this video helps. If you want to get better at crosshair placement, like I said, just go into deathmatch and really be aware of where your crosshair is and where enemies can be from second to second, and you know, if they could be on high ground or if they're not, or are you close to an enemy, or are you far away from an enemy, stuff like that. So anyways guys, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.